everyone. Welcome to Save News TV. I am your host, A.Z. Hubbard, coming to you today that we are going to talk about a couple of things. The first thing is the many pastors and churches said that over the past 4 years under the Biden administration that the IRS has targeted them and they have been sharing this information with President Trump. And also, with that sharing, our Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has created a task force to eradicate anti Christian biases. And we're going to watch that press conference, well, the task force meeting. So, first, let us go over and read. Got to get my microphone straight, everybody. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And we're going to go over and read the report, and that is coming from um, the Roy's report, where it says Trump advisor and pastor of First Baptist Dallas says IRS investigated his church. President Trump told reporters last Thursday that multiple pastors who gathered at the White House Easter service last week had complained about being investigated by the IRS over the past 4 years. They said, "Sir, I was targeted by the IRS and the FBI came in, sir, and I've been through HE double hockey sticks for years." Trump said in a discussion in the Oval Office about his threat to revoke the tax exempt status of Howard University. Media reached out to the pastors who attended the service to coordinate Trump's accounts. Most did not immediately respond, but Pastor Robert Jeffries, pastor of First Baptist Church of Dallas, Texas, confirmed in an email that he told Trump at an event that he had been investigated by the IRS. "I told the president that our church was subject to an IRS investigation launched under the Biden administration that spanned several years and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars due to the complaints from Freedom from Religion Foundation," Jeffries wrote. "The case was ultimately resolved in our favor. For years, advocates for the separation of church and state have argued the Internal Revenue Service told to hold churches to that endorse political candidates accountable, saying that such endorsements violate the provision of the U.S. tax code known as the Johnson Amendment that bars nonprofits from taking sides in electoral campaigns. Little has come of those concerns, as the IRS has been long reluctant to investigate the churches. As for documentation proving that the investigation occurred, Jeffrey said his church is turning all documentation regarding the investigation over to the White House, adding that any release of that information will come from them. The White House did not immediately provide documentation when asked by the media, saying that they were looking into the matter. Verifying the investigation without documentation may be proved difficult. Asked about the alleged investigation, the representative from the IRS said federal employees are barred from disclosing tax return information, including whether the agency has or has not investigated a particular entity. According to the FFRF, the group filed a complaint about First Baptist in July of 2020, before the election and while Trump was still president. It focused on a visit by then Vice President Mike Pence made to First Baptist to celebrate Freedom Sunday. Jeffrey said he was praying that Pence would have a second term as vice president and then be elected president. Mr. Vice President, I know I would should not say this, but my congregation knows that has never stopped me before, said Jeffries. According to a recording of the posted service at First Baptist YouTube channel, he added, "We are praying that when you finish your term in 2024, we don't want you moving out of the West Wing. We want you to be moving down the hall a few doors and continue to build on the legacy of the most faith-friendly president in history." The FFRF argued Jeffrey's remarks amounted to an endorsement. Only one congregation in recent history has lost its exemption for electoring, namely an upstate New York church that took out anti Bill Clinton ads in several local newspapers in 1992. It has not been for a lack of trying. For years, secular advocacy groups have complained about events such as Pulpit Freedom Sunday, a campaign involving thousands of pastors in which they endorse candidates from the pulpit and send recordings of their sermons to the IRS, hoping to produce a test case to overturn the Johnson excuse me, amendment. The Alliance Defending Freedom, a Christian legal group, organized the Pulpit Freedom Campaign for years, but eventually gave up. Madeline Zingler, the staff attorney for FFRF, said the organization files about 30 complaints about alleged violations of the Johnson Amendment. Each time, Zingler said the organization receives a form letter in response. They always explain they cannot disclose whether they have started an investigation or the status of the investigation, Zingler said. Zingler shared a letter from the IRS dated August 29, 2020, acknowledging receipt of FFR complaint. The IRS has ongoing audit program to ensure compliance with the Internal Revenue Code, IRC. We'll consider the information you submitted in this program. Such letters may not be as rare as prosecutions. Attorneys for New Way Church in Palm Coast, Florida, claimed earlier this month that the IRS had launched an investigation against the church after a local school board candidate spoke at the church in 2022 and explained why she was running for office. The church's pastor prayed for the candidate, New Way attorney claimed in a statement. "We have some questions about your tax exempt status as the church under Internal Revenue Code IRC section 501A and or your liability for tax," read the letter in 2024 from the IRS. "Our concerns are based on information we are in possession of indicating you may have conducted political campaign activities which are prohibited under IRC section 501c3. The letter instructed the church to fill out the church tax inquiry questions forms. Lawyers from the First Liberty Institute says the investigation was later closed. We are pleased that the IRS not only closed the investigation, but affirmed that this church's activities of praying for a political candidate during its service did not threaten its tax exempt status. Jeremy Dias said he is the senior counsel for First Liberty Institute. Earlier this year, the National Religious Broadcasters filed a federal lawsuit to overturn the Johnson Amendment. That lawsuit claimed that nonprofit newspapers are allowed to endorse candidates, but churches are not. So, anyway, that article, everybody, is coming from the Roy's report, Julie Roy's, and the writers of that article is Bob Samenta and Jack Jenkins. And so, what do you all think of the IRS investigating churches regarding their 501c3? Well, as you know, that there have been a lot of movement going on. So now we have Attorney General Pam Bondi being assigned to create a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. And that is a good thing for Christendom because, there's a lot of biases against the Christian community. So now we're going to watch the um, video of that task force. So, all right, let's watch the video.
Thank you all for joining us today. We're excited to be here for the launch of the Task Force to Eradicate Anti-Christian Bias as outlined in the President's Executive Order. Joining me today are members of the task force and individuals who have been impacted by the anti-Christian bias. Together, this task force will identify any unlawful anti-Christian policies, practices, or conduct across the government, seek input from the faith-based organizations and state governments to end anti-Christian bias, find and fix deficiencies in existing and regulatory practices that might contribute to the anti-Christian bias. As President Trump has stated, the Biden administration engaged in an egregious pattern of targeting peaceful Christians while ignoring violent anti-Christian offenses. The president is right. Biden's Department of Justice abused and targeted Christians. Pro-life Christians were arrested and imprisoned for peacefully praying outside abortion clinics. The FBI spied on traditional Catholics in their parishes. President Biden declared Easter Sunday to be Transgender Day of Visibility. No longer. Vandalism against churches was 8 times higher in 2023 than it was in 2018. And it's at President Trump's directive, we ended those abuses at the Department of Justice on day one. We dropped 3 ongoing cases against pro-lifers and redefined the FACE Act to ensure that abuse would not continue and that American tax dollars were not used to support the weaponization of our legal system to target Christians. Just a few weeks ago, we convicted a man in Arizona for a plot to bomb Christian churches. The Department of Justice will protect religious liberty for Christians and for all Americans. We'll work closely with everyone around this table and take a whole of government approach to solving this problem and ultimately protect Americans' First Amendment rights. The First Amendment isn't just a line in the Constitution, it's the cornerstone of our American liberty. It guarantees every citizen the right to speak freely, worship freely, and live according to their conscience without government interference. Protecting Christians from bias is not favoritism. It's upholding the rule of law and fulfilling the constitutional promise. Thank you to President Trump. We have an incredible opportunity, all of us around this table, to protect the rights of all citizens from discrimination based on their religious beliefs. And thank you all for being here based on this executive order, and I look forward to doing great work together. Now, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, thanks everybody for coming and for members of the task force for being here today and for your commitment to this important effort. If you look around this table and the leadership that's here, I know that combined with our shared determination to establish sound, effective policies and to push back against any form of anti-Christian or anti-religious bias that has taken root within the federal government, this will allow us to carry out the President's executive order. I want to echo what Attorney General Bondi just said. Supporting the free expression of faith is not just a constitutional principle. It is something that all forms of civil government should be encouraging. At its core, the executive order we're here to talk about today affirms a fundamental truth. Every individual has the freedom to choose their religious faith. And once made, that choice should never be subject to discrimination or bias from our government. Now, unfortunately, over the past several years, we've seen troubling signs to the contrary. We have witnessed actions that suggest an underlying bias against people of faith, particularly Christians. This task force was created to make sure this never happens again in America. We will investigate what went wrong, uncover facts, and ultimately chart a path forward. So today, we're going to hear from individuals who will share their personal stories, stories that reflect broader trends and challenges from the Biden administration's policies. Policies that, frankly, strip people of their inalienable rights. We're also going to hear from members of this task force about the ways in which anti-Christian sentiment may have shown up in their departments or their agencies. A key challenge that we face is a public misunderstanding of our form of government. We're a constitutional republic, not a pure democracy. And this distinction matters because in a republic, individual rights are protected even when unpopular. And misunderstanding this distinction allows our institutions and media to misrepresent our founding principles. Our government's purpose is to secure rights, not restrict them. So yes, this task force has a big job ahead, but it's a vital one, and it's one that we're going to get done. Finally, I want to thank the members of the media who are with us today. We appreciate your attention and your presence for this opening portion of the meeting. At this time, we'll be moving into our internal discussions, and so if you would please make your way out, we'll then continue with the rest of our work in a closed session. Thank you very much.
Can I ask one question on topic? And it was the
All right, everybody. Well, we just watched the video of the Attorney General Task Force, new task force to eradicate anti Christian bias. I, for one, am excited, and I hope you are to see what's going to come up. I need you all to get in the comments. Tell me, what do you think about the new task force? Do you think they're going to be effective and be able to eradicate anti Christian biases? Well, one thing I always say, you cannot legislate morality. You just cannot. But you can protect those of us Christians that from discrimination, from being targeted, and all sorts of things. I just know, Save News have been in business 13 years, going on 13 years, and I can tell you for a fact that we have been shadow banned on social media. We have been targeted. We have been discriminated against because we are a Christian organization. I can vouch. I speak on what um, we are. So that's why it's so important when I ask you all to please like, share, and subscribe. It is vital because of the fact that we do run against these things. You watch this video, share it with a friend, any Christian content creator. Make sure you share it on your page, on your social media, like, comment. That gets us into the algorithm because not just, Save News, but all Christian outlets are most of them are, unless they're huge, and even the huge pages um, get shadow banned. So anyway, with that said, I just wanted to make sure that we covered this story because this is something that is very critical for us as far as Christendom, and I'm excited to see what comes of it. So like, share, and subscribe. Get in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Tell us what you think after watching the Pam Bondi new task force. And let's see where this goes. And I'm excited. I hope you are excited. But anyway, make sure we already always have our little stuff at the end. So follow us on all of our other social media platforms, and there'll be a video showing you where to go, so you can see where all of our other platforms are on social media. Hope you follow us there, and also drop a comment in one of our posts to let us know that you're following. Okay. I appreciate you all so much. And thank you all so much again for tuning in. Hold tight. Hold tight. We got something coming up after this. All right? Okay.
I'm writing lines to lift his name, no need for fame. My spirit fed, his word is spread, saves the aim. Pen to paper, truths I scribe, a soulful vibe. To glorify the Most High, let's amplify. I am spreading the faith I hold so dear. For every tear he's ever near. Choirs rise on Sunday morn, his love we adorn. Each melody a testimony, hearts reborn. In every verse a whispered prayer beyond compare, to lift the hearts of those in dark despair. We testify with every note we sing. In harmony let freedom's bell ring. Rejoice and lift your voice, let the sound of praise deploy. Marching to his beat we go, face the seed we're here to sow. A standing strong through trials, love's chapter will compile. A beacon shining, grace defining across the mile. In our stories his glory shines a light divine. Through the gospel prove his truth we move, lives alive. Each Sunday pew, a vessel lined with grace anew. Souls intertwined, the word defined, it shines on through. Lifting high the cross we bear, in silence share. The hymn we breathe, in him believe, it's love we declare. We're saved by grace in this whole heavenly place. For